Greetings, mathematicians. Today we're going to do our warm-up. It's going to be what's the same and what is different. So take a second and look at the top picture and the bottom picture. Both are 10 frames. What is the same about the two 10 frames and what is different about the two 10 frames? Teachers pause and have a couple kids share the similarities and differences between them. For those of you at home, you may have noticed that some of the similarities are they both have dice in them. They both have fives in them. The differences are they have different color dice. And on the bottom one, we notice that there is a 5, but there's also a 2 in each of these. So in the top, there are 7 boxes with 5 in each box, or 7 times 5. 7 groups of 5, whereas in the bottom one we have 5 groups and each has 7 in that. So we can think of this as, remember when we flip-flop the factors, that's the commutative property. We also notice that if we add 2 to 5 we get 7, and that's just a 5 and a 2. So we're adding 2 more groups every time when we have times 7 than when we're adding times 5, or multiplying by times 5. And then a similarity is if we figure out how many total dots, there'd be the same number, because we know that 7 groups of 5 is 35, and we know that 5 groups of 7 is also 35. So we could say that it's similar because they both show 35 dots. Next, we're going to look at a number string. So I want you to look at the 5 times 2. If I picture that as an area model, I can see I've got 5 rows with 2 in each row, for a total of 10. If I want to go 2 groups of 2, now I have 4. So then if I have 7 groups of 2, how could I use what I know about 5 groups of 2 and 2 groups of 2 to help me calculate 7 groups of 2, or 7 times 2? Teachers pause. Students, discuss with your elbow partner or your table partner, how might you use the 5 times 2 and the 2 times 2 to help you figure out 7 times 2? So one way we could think of it, if we want 7 times 2, we can think of it, the 7, as a group of 5 and a group of 2, because I could decompose 7 into a group of 5 and a group of 2. Because look at, I could take these, if I took this group of 5 and this group of 2, I could put them together, and then I'd have 5, 6, 7 groups of 2. So I could decompose them, and I could figure each one out. 5 times 2 I know was 10. 2 times 2 I said was 4. So if I add those together, then I'm going to figure out that my 7 groups of 2 would be equivalent to 14. So by thinking about 2 parts that I do know the products for, I could figure out my 7. So let's try it again with a different combination. So if I think of 5 times 4, I know my 5s, and I know my 5 times 4 would give me 20. 2 times 4, we've talked about our 2s, we would have 8. So that could help me think about 7. Okay, so for you, the same idea, if I'm trying to figure out 7 times 4, if I don't know my 7 song, I can think, well, hey, I know I can decompose 7 into a group of 5 and a group of 2. Well, I know 5 times 4 is going to be 20. And I know 2 groups of 4 is equal to 8. So if I wanted to put those together to get 7 groups of 4, I would have to add those 2 products together, 20 plus 8, and it would be 28. So again, I can use known facts to help me figure out unknown facts by decomposing or breaking 7 into 2 different facts that I do know the product to. So our learning target for today is I can visualize and use a strategy to multiply by 7. So if we think about our 7s, that's usually one of the most tricky facts for most students. So the song is usually really helpful, which we're going to sing in a little bit. Otherwise, decomposing it into a 5 or a 2 or a 6 and a 1 would be ways to make it a little bit easier if you can't remember your 7s. Remember, our goal is always to be fluent. That means we need to be accurate. First and foremost, we need to get the correct answer. We need to be flexible. Remember, just like we did with 7s, we decomposed it into 5 and 2 because those are two that are easy. Those are benchmark numbers that we know. And 5 seconds or less. So you can use any strategy. As long as you can come up with the product in 5 seconds or less, you could still be fluent. So let's look at our multiples of 7. As I move down, I want you to discuss with your table partner what patterns or what things do you notice about our multiples of 7. Pause and have a couple of groups share some ideas. Remember, whenever we multiply, we want to think about something. We don't want to just think about numbers. We want to visualize what we're really talking about. So we're going to always be talking about however many groups of 7. So if I think of my 10 frame, if I have 2 groups of 7, remember, I'm going to have 14 total. Okay? If I have 5 groups of 7, then I'm going to go 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. So again, if I picture how many groups of 7 I have, that can help me. And if I don't know my 7s, I can always decompose into 5 and 2. And that would help me break it apart and figure out an unknown fact. So we're going to sing our 7 song. Go ahead and listen and follow along on the board if you need to say the numbers, but be sure you're singing the correct numbers so that you have fluency and accuracy. Here's our 7 song. So now go ahead and practice your 7 song a couple times. If you need to look at the multiples on the screen as you sing, you can go ahead. When you're ready, you can move on to the next page once you feel comfortable with the song. So again, our goal is to always be fluent, but you can use whatever strategy you want. If you don't like the songs, then you can figure it out any way you'd like. So if you're thinking of 5 times 7, I want you to think about how would you solve this? What strategy would you use? Teachers pause and students share. What strategy would you use to calculate this? I might think about decomposing my 7 into a 5 and a 2. Then I would have my 5 groups of 5, which I could show this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's one group of 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, which would give me 25 in that section. And then I would have 5 groups of 2 as well. So here would be my one group of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then I'm going to put those two numbers together because I've got 25 plus 10, and that would give me a total of 35. So I could have thought of it that way. I could have thought about my 5 song, or counting by 5s, because counting by 5s is one of the easiest ways to do it. So I could have looked at it the other way. Remember flip-flopping my number, 7 groups of 5. Because of the commutative property, I can do that. I could go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and I would have 35. So no matter how I think of it, any 3 of those strategies would work. They just depend how I'm thinking about the numbers in their relationship. So our learning target was I can visualize and use a strategy to multiply by 7. I want you to rate yourself now. Do you think you're at a 1 where you're not sure where to begin? 2, maybe you can get started. Maybe you know some of the song, but after, like when you get to the 6, 7, 8s, and 9s, it gets a little tricky. Maybe you're at a 3. Maybe there's just 2 of the facts you don't know. A 4, you've got it down pretty much, but maybe it takes you a few, 5 seconds to figure out each one. Or 5, you've got this and you could teach it to the class. Show me in front of you on a 1 to 5 scale, where do you think you are? If you're not at a 4 or a 5 yet, then this is one of the factors you're going to want to practice, maybe during WIN or another time, so that you can get to be confident that you could be at a 4 or a 5 with your 7s.